Welcome to the Recommended Daily Value Podcast, your daily dose into the health and wellness world.
Welcome back to the Recommended Daily Value Podcast, where we dive into everything health, fitness, and nutrition related 5 days a week in 5 minutes or less. This podcast is brought to you by Umzu, and I am your host, Tyler Woodward. We've got a fun one today, so make sure to hit that subscribe button, because today we're talking about whether or not good old Coca-Cola and Pepsi can increase your testosterone levels. So the study was done on mice, and what they found was that in the mice that were allowed to drink Coke or Pepsi ad libitum, aka as much as they wanted, those mice experienced a significant increase in testicular weight, size, testosterone levels, and androgen receptor expression. But before we go into the study, let me tell you why this shouldn't come as a surprise. If you've been listening to this podcast for a while, you've probably heard me moan on and on about sugar being wrongly blamed, how it can actually be good for us, yada, yada, yada. In its purest form, though, sugar is just energy, right? And if I give you a huge supply of extra energy, you'd probably, or at least hopefully, use it toward energy-intensive processes. Like that book you've been meaning to start reading, rejoining the gym, doing the lawn, whatever it is. Well, metabolically, reproduction is a very energetically expensive process. While this is true of both men and women, it's obviously a lot more true for women, but the same idea applies. And typically one of the first things you lose during extreme stress, like a famine, is reproductive capacity. Think about women losing their periods from being overstressed. So if you supply your body with a huge surplus of energy, it would make a lot of sense that it would allocate some of that extra energy towards energetically expensive processes like growth, repair, and reproduction. Now to the study. What they did in the study was they took 150 male mice and separated them into 5 groups. PEP 1 and PEP 2, obviously standing for Pepsi, which drank 50% and 100% Pepsi solutions respectively, and then Coke 1 and Coke 2, which drank 50 and 100% Coca-Cola solutions respectively, and a final control group which just drank water. Then for 15 days, these mice were allowed to drink ad libitum or as much of whatever drink they were assigned. While the researchers measured the weight of the testes, their longitudinal and transverse diameter, testosterone levels, epidermal growth factor, and androgen receptor expression, all factors generally related to testosterone and reproduction. And by day 15, all the mice who were able to drink the pure Coke or Pepsi solution were found to have a statistically significantly higher levels of testosterone, larger and heavier testes, more androgen receptors expressed, and higher concentrations of epidermal growth factor. Also, FYI, I had to look this up, but apparently epidermal growth factor has to do with the masculinizing effect of testosterone, at least in mice. I'm not sure how it applies to humans. So the authors concluded that although it needs more research, it appears that carbonated beverages can enhance testosterone synthesis and potentially reproduction in male mice, which corroborated the research they had done previously on rabbits. It's worth noting that the authors did not contribute the findings to any one factor like sugar, caffeine, or carbonation of the Pepsi/Coke, rather saying more research had to be done to elucidate these mechanisms. Although I, as well as Georgi Denkov, who you may know as Haydut, think that it was the sugar causing the effect, possibly with the carbonation potentially helping as well. Now, here are some of the not-so-great aspects of the study. First of all, I would have loved for them to have done an analysis on the Coca-Cola, Pepsi, and probably even the water, so they could really do a side-by-side comparison of the nutrition and mineral status of all of the drinks involved. Second, I would have loved to have seen the study drawn out over a much longer period. I'd like to see the effects of the ad libitum carbonated beverage consumption over 2, 3, 4, 6 months, even a year, to see if these testosterone-boosting effects continue to rise, which they obviously probably would not, or more likely for them to level off, but potentially even for them to tank afterwards. And third, obviously the study was done on mice, so I'd love to see it replicated in humans. That being said, I do not think this negates the findings of the study, and we have seen similar results before in other research in humans. So again, I'm not surprised by their findings. Well, that's it for this episode. So remember to get your Mexican and Coke in. And if you enjoyed this episode, make sure to hit that subscribe button and to share with a friend. And remember, these opinions are my own, based on my own research and experiences, and it is not medical advice. Till next time, be good.